Hey everyone. So I've been having a couple of conversations recently about how to set up a sustainable fire protection and life safety program, right? So, and a lot of it boils back to some of the basics that I didn't realize were basics when I first started getting into the CMMS side as well. And I'm a big proponent of trying to consolidate and use the resources that we have in facilities management and build upon them. And our CMMS systems are fully capable of building out asset-based and asset-specific criteria for these very difficult fire protection programs, right? So again, something that I had learned over the years. And it's always coming back to, like I said, the basics of let's start with asset naming nomenclature. So how you name an asset is very, very important. And then number two that we'll talk about is what is an asset, defining an asset. And then number three, we'll talk about where to asset tag because that's also important. So number one, naming nomenclature. Well, sprinkler valve is a great example. So we're gonna use this sprinkler valve a couple of times throughout this video. A sprinkler valve is different based on the type of valve. For example, a pressure reducing valve is a sprinkler valve. However, it has additional requirements per NFPA 25, which is our inspection, testing, and maintenance code for water-based fire suppression systems. That's different than a standard isolation valve, which has a annual requirement, for example. So there are different criteria for different types of valves versus a backflow preventer, which is a valve as well, right? So making sure that your nomenclature is accurate in your CMMS to make sure that you can apply the appropriate PMs is key. Number two, defining what an asset is. So we'll use the sprinkler valve example again, right? So a pressure reducing valve is a single asset, right? So whether it is a system pressure reducing valve or a pressure reducing valve hose assembly for fire department use, it's a single asset. But what about a valve, a butterfly valve, butterfly isolation valve with an integral tamper switch? Well, most commonly what I see is that it is labeled in the field with two separate barcodes, two separate asset numbers, right? And that's not the case, because think about it this way. If I remove and replace that butterfly valve, I'm replacing the tamper switch too. It's a single asset, right? But it's tagged separately because of an inspection system that is imposing it on there. Why? Well, because the valve falls under that NFPA 25, the fire sprinkler side, and the tamper switch falls under NFPA 72, which is our fire alarm code, right? So two separate trades, two separate types of technicians and certifications. Well, that doesn't mean that it's separate assets. We're setting up inspection criteria to meet our needs. So CMMS systems can do that, and that's what I want to talk about. So you can have a single asset, a butterfly valve with a integral tamper switch with multiple PMs under it. So for example, I can have a PM generated from my CMMS that says this butterfly valve needs to be tested annually, fully exercised either by internal staff or by a third party coming in, exercise it, fully close it, fully open it, make sure that it fully closes and opens, right? I can also have a separate PM under that same asset that says semi-annually I need to test the tamper switch and supervisory signal function, which is an NFPA 72 requirement. And it would say, I need to turn the valve 2 full revolutions and it needs to trigger a supervisory signal at the panel, right? So understanding what an asset is and making sure that you have your PM structure set up correctly. Number three, asset tagging locations, very important. So I'm going to use a different kind of example here. If I have a smoke detector that is on the deck of a central plant 30 feet up in the air, what I see frequently is that somewhere, a door frame, a wall, somewhere we will put that asset tag, right? Well, maybe there's multiple smoke detectors, so I will put asset tag, asset tag, asset tag, asset tag. Sometimes I'll see Sharpie markings on the side of it, sometimes I won't. And it's very important to understand that doesn't help build a sustainable program, because if I ever switch or if another technician comes in, they don't know what those asset tags go to, right? So making sure that you have a labeling structure for your asset tags and those devices is important. Where do they go? Where do you place them? Where do they go on that device, so everybody knows wherever you go in your facility or even across your entire system, where that asset tag is going to be located. So again, things that I've learned throughout the years of building a sustainable life safety fire protection program. I'd love to hear your thoughts. This is just the beginning of this conversation, right? So I know there's a lot of people out there who have a lot of expertise in this. Love to hear from you. Let me know what you're thinking. Until next time, happy learning.